What's up, YouTube? So there's been a lot in the news lately about Criterion joining DICE, Ridgeline, and Ripple Effects in the next Battlefield title. I think they're going to split it into a single-player, multiplayer, battle royale / looter shooter. I don't know. But regardless of that, a lot of people are excited. There's some things that it has to have, in my opinion, design, development, structural elements that have to be in place in order for it to be a success. And I'm not talking about launch, mechanical issues. All Battlefields have that. But these elements it has to have, I think, in order for the community to come back to it and for people to like it. Some of this is, I'm going to put this in order of least necessary to most necessary, in my opinion. All right, let's check it out. All right, first up on the list, and by first I mean last on the list because this is the least important, is everybody's favorite cancer, Dozer. Dozer's ballistic shield should be a gadget. I don't want to see it taken out of the game, but it certainly needs to be a gadget. If you're going to play that role, running around with a ballistic shield bashing people in the face, you need to give something up for that. You shouldn't just be able to have that on top of everything else. Battlefield Hardline had a ballistic shield, it wasn't a problem. Battlefield 4 had a ballistic shield, it wasn't a problem. But in 2042, it is the most annoying goddamn thing ever. So that needs to be a gadget. Like I said, this isn't game breaking, and if it's in there, okay, fine, whatever. But I'd like to see it reduced to a gadget slot so that somebody has to like make the decision to play that role and they're giving something up to do it. All right, next on the list is more customization. The outfits and the cosmetics in Battlefield 2042 are okay, but I just wish they were a little bit more customizable. In my opinion, Battlefield 5 had a perfect mix of customization for their characters, where you could mix and match the head, the torso, and the legs independently of one another to create some interesting combinations. It's not a game changer, it doesn't have to be in there, but it's a nice to have. I'd like to have a little bit more customization when it comes to creating your character. Since they took out all the personalization of emblems and having your emblem on your gun, which was totally cool, and Battlefield Hardline's ability to spray paint your emblem on the geometry of the map, which was dope, they need to have some kind of way for you to fully customize yourself, but still be recognizable as a particular faction. All right, the next most important thing is more weapons and more maps. The variety in Battlefield 2042 is so low, it gets boring so quick. There has to be more weapons. There has to be a ton more weapons. You have to have variety. I don't think I'm alone in saying that the game is tragically short of weapons. That's it. More weapons, more maps. More variety. All right, the next most important thing that Battlefield has to do is remove the automated firing weapons. I'm talking about the Ranger. I'm talking about Boris's turret. These things disrupt the flow of the gameplay and the flow of gunfights. They're cheap, easy kills, or just harass. In fact, Boris's turret is nothing more than a spotter because it does fucking nothing against vehicles, almost nothing against vehicles. It's useless for that. All it does is harass infantry. It's not real effective. You just put it down to watch a corridor, and then so it alerts you when somebody runs by. That's all it's good for. That's pretty much it. Get rid of automated fire weapons. I know Stingers and Iglas have been in the game forever. Fine. Those are fire and forget weapons. But man, that Ranger and that Boris turret, they got to go. Alright, next up I think is platoons with in-game tags. In order to build a community around the game, you have to have a way for people to get together and organize themselves. And platoons was a great thing for the game. It allowed for clan battles, it allowed you to organize better, and they took that out. I'm not sure why they took that out, but platoons I think are a necessity so that you can add your tag to your name in-game without having to change your username. It's not a huge thing, but platoons need to make a comeback. Alright, we're getting down to the last three things I think are most important. The next one is keep the class system. It's been shoehorned into Battlefield 2042 in a really rough way to try to like get it back in there. But they need to go back to it from the get-go. It has to be integrated into the way the game is designed. There has to be a class system with defined roles. It is important to the core essence of the game. There has to be a class system. I don't necessarily think the weapons need to be class specific. I kind of like being able to grab a bolt action with an engineer or with an assault or whatever I want in any particular situation. So the weapons I think maybe should be free range, but gadgets should definitely be restricted to classes, and they need to be for very well defined classes like previous Battlefields. Alright, the second to last most important thing they need to have are factions. Factions are so important. In every previous Battlefield, you could instantly tell who your enemy was based on the way they looked. It didn't require the Dorito chip or the blueberry thing to pop up above their head to see if they were friendly or not. I can't even tell you how many times I get killed because I see a Falk or a Sundance and I'm like, is that a friendly? I don't know. They're not lit up orange or anything. And then they shoot you, and then it pops up orange. You can instantly recognize another faction based on what they're wearing quicker than you can recognize those orange dots above people's heads. They gotta have factions. Every other Battlefield had them. You could easily tell, even with all the cosmetic changes in Battlefield 5, you could always tell whether you were going up against a German, an American, or a Japanese soldier instantly. You didn't need to rely on the spotting or the orange Dorito chip. Hardline was easy to tell. It was cops and robbers. That was easy. Battlefield 4 was easy between the Chinese and the Russian and the Americans. They all had very distinctive looks, all very different. The game has to be visually readable. 2042 is a nightmare when trying to find out who's an ally and who's not, because they don't always represent as an enemy until after they shoot you. Or I end up shooting friendlies because I don't know. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't show you, and you have to shoot them. Oh no, they're a friendly. It doesn't matter anyway. Factions. You gotta have factions. Alright, the last and most important thing the next Battlefield has to have, without this the game will die for sure, are persistent servers with a browser. It's just fundamental to being able to navigate into the game, find a server you want, see who's in it, how many players, what's the status of the game, how far along is it, server browsers with persistent servers. Persistent servers is important because that way you don't get stuck playing the same map over and over and over again. This whole RNG thing it does now in 2042 where the game ends and then it just randomly picks another map leads to people playing the same map over and over again. It's horrible. Persistent servers with a server browser. Every other Battlefield had it. Gotta have it in the next game. It is the most important thing. That is my list of things I think the next Battlefield needs to have in order for it to be successful. They got to keep doing everything right that they're doing in this one, which is a little, but doing those things I think will alleviate a lot of the headaches and a lot of the pains people have. Maybe not the Dozer Shield, because a lot of people like that. More customization, more weapons, more maps, lose some of the automated fire weapons, bring the platoons back in so there can be more of a community around things, keep the class system, make factions, and make dedicated persistent servers with a browser feature. If DICE and the other studios can do all that, I think we'll be in a good position in Battlefield moving forward. Let me know your thoughts below. Are you excited for the next Battlefield? Do you think it's going to be better, worse, more of the same than the current Battlefield? If you like this content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.